All right, everyone. Invincible, the newest season, is coming out March 18th. And for JoJo fans, of course. And, the greater show, Steel Ball Run's coming out March 19th. And we just thought about, hey, which JoJo characters can beat a Viltrumite? And when we say Viltrumite, we're not talking about Oliver. He doesn't count. He's like a bug and he's purple. We're talking about like from Thrag all the way to like Mark.
We talk about this, we're mainly going to be sticking just to the show and kind of the power scaling of the show and not really on the comics because, no spoilers. And it's also a little easier, a little more simple. But before we get to the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hype the video.
Yeah, and you know what? We're gonna just blitz the obvious. I guess when you watch this video, you're probably thinking, oh, well, Gold Experience Requiem, Star Platinum the World, Heaven's Door, D4C, Wonder of You, and Made in Heaven could be the Viltrumite, which is a fact. But no, we're gonna get more philosophical about it and talk about the real ones, who we had to actually use our mental faculties to know and use reasoning to know if they beat a Viltrumite or not. Starting off, we have Cream.
Cream, kind of obvious. You just go into that pocket dimension. First of all, he's invisible. The Viltrumites aren't going to be able to see him, not going to be able to hear him. And we don't technically know how strong his erasing stuff is because we only have a JoJo perspective on it, but you should just be able to erase anything from that void pocket dimension. So he just goes in there. The Viltrumites are like, oh man, where'd he go? I can't see him, I can't hear him, and then he just obliterates them instantly.
Yeah. And he's also a vampire. Vanilla Ice, dude. He's a vampire. So if it's nighttime, he's got them. Thrag's hairline is about to recede when he goes up against Cream. And maybe he might be faster than a Viltrumite. I don't know. Viltrumites can kind of fly from another planet, but he might be able to catch one off guard. We've seen how Mark lost to a dragon. But yeah, we think Vanilla Ice with the stand Cream, they got this in the bag. And next up, we have the Hand. Now, you guys are all familiar with the Hand. It was in part 4. It can erase space. And Okuyasu has no idea where the scrap things go. But I'm pretty sure because the Viltrumites can't see stands, that Okuyasu will get the jump on them and literally just erase the Viltrumite, just cut them up.
Also, like we said, we're sticking to the show power scaling, and the show is a little bit inconsistent. We see Mark and Omni-Man fighting Viltrumites, and they're causing, city level destruction, but then also Omni-Man almost got beat by the Guardians of the Globe, and Mark was getting beat up by the Mauler twins and some hired thugs. So a little bit inconsistent power scaling. Don't forget, the Hand is also kind of relative in strength and speed to Crazy Diamond, who's relative in strength and speed to Star Platinum. So you might even be able to beat up Mark a little bit too, keep up with him.
Oh yeah. Think of the Immortal, but a little stronger, and with the ability to erase him. That's the Hand. Next up, we have King Crimson. Now, King Crimson has the ability to erase time because it just works, and it has another ability, a secondary ability called Epitaph, which can see into the future, just a few seconds ahead. And with those abilities, we believe that he can catch a Viltrumite off guard, and we think that his strength is strong enough to cut through a Viltrumite.
Right. King Crimson is similar in strength to Star Platinum and the World. We saw him easily just punching holes through people. So it's a very strong stand, very fast stand, and even faster with time skip. We saw that he was able to just completely blitz Polnareff, who has a stand that can keep up in speed with Star Platinum. Right, and like we said, you combine it with his ability to see into the future. It's not hard to imagine him being able to get the jump on a Viltrumite.
Yeah, Diavolo can do it. Next up, we have Weather Report / Heavy Weather. Now, when you could just produce a rainbow and then a Viltrumite, looks at it and then they turn into a snail, you're guaranteed a victory. What is the Viltrumite going to do? And then you can control the weather too. And it's I'm pretty sure thousands of lightning bolts, a volcano erupting could harm a Viltrumite, something, or deprive them of oxygen for 2 weeks and they'll just pass out. Because Oliver, if you didn't know, one time, spoilers, he lost his air and he had to go down to a planet to get it. So yeah, sure you can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, if this is not a Dragon Ball Z Vegito scenario, you got turned into candy and was still stronger than Buhan. These Viltrumites, they're gonna turn into snails, and they're just gonna be snails. There's nothing they can do about it unless they somehow figure out the ability and blind themselves, right? That they're just not gonna win.
Yeah, these Viltrumites are like snails. Like Jolene said, she's jealous of snails because they can have sex with like anyone. And I mean, Viltrumites, I mean, what do you think they're doing? They're just basically having sex with everyone and anyone. Yeah, because there's only 50 of them. Next up, we have Killer Queen. Okay, do you want to know what happened to Rex Splode? He exploded. What do you think Killer Queen's abilities can do? It's literally almost the same thing, but just better. He literally took out No Goggles Mark. No diff.
Yeah, we saw him take out No Goggles Mark with his, biggest, most powerful explosion. Killer Queen's bombs and explosions literally destroy you at the atomic level, right? They just touch something that Killer Queen has already turned into a bomb, and they're just finished. And I mean, also you never
Yeah,
know. Killer Queen's got like a B in strength and speed, so I mean, depending on the Viltrumite, maybe he could, touch him up a little bit.
I thought it was an A, but that might be the explosives. The B and speed for sure. But yeah, you could probably catch a Viltrumite off guard, touch them, and say basically like, oh, Killer Queen's already touched the doorknob. Basically, I'm Rexplode times like infinity. Boom, gone. And he has like bites of dust anyway, so the Viltrumite, I guess, tried finding Kira's identity. He would just enter their eyeball and explode. Next up, we have Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, if we look at Powerplex, he had a little bit of a Zenkai boost because he put equipment on, and he ended up getting like stronger to the point where he actually beat a Viltrumite, and he was able to damage Mark and Oliver in a fight. Red Hot Chili Peppers, if he enters Chicago, he's gonna collect all that electricity and literally easily harm Viltrumites.
Right. If you remember in part four, when he got supercharged from just a small town in Morio, that's not even in our modern age, he was able to easily beat up Josuke and Crazy Diamond. Like he was way faster than it and way stronger than it. I mean, if he made it to Chicago or just a actual big city and got supercharged like that, I mean, his strength and speed, yeah, I mean, you could only imagine. Like, he might be able to just one shot a Viltrumite, to be honest.
Oh yeah, and then next up we have Bohemian Rhapsodies. Giorno's brother, his Stan, it's pretty impressive. It turns fictional characters into real life. I mean, we see like Astro Boy in the manga, we see Spider-Man, you know, in Florida. So just imagine if like I guess the Boys comics book comes out and like just Homelander. Homelander would literally bag Mark because Mark's that weak. Okay? Even though Omni-Man could beat Homelander, Mark's not, because Mark's like just losing every fight. And really, Superman can also come out, but like he'll just let Homelander do the job.
Right? I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody, I mean, it can just bring other fictional characters that are stronger than Viltrumites to life, and it'll trap them in the story and, kind of force them to fight them, and they'll just get beat. Pretty simple.
Yeah, and last up on this list we have Bags Groove. This is a stand in part 9. Basically, it's just these little tiny colony stand that just enters your body and just attacks you from within.
It's basically microscopic, just goes in, does damage. And Viltrumites aren't going to see it. They aren't going to know it. I mean, certain Viltrumites probably would, fight a kid. If we're talking about like Mark or maybe a reformed Omni-Man, they might be a little hesitant. And I don't know if it's stated somewhere, but I don't think the insides of Viltrumites are as strong and durable as the outside of them. So should be able to take care of the job.
Oh, and we forgot to mention this, but Purple Haze could definitely beat a Viltrumite. That virus, even though Giorno found a cure, that virus is equivalent to like the Scourge virus. It is just going to melt a Viltrumite. I don't care how powerful and strong they are. They're not getting through Purple Haze.
Like we just said, 99.99% of the Viltrumite Empire died because of a virus. And I mean, this is basically the same thing. It kills pretty much instantly. So if any Viltrumite even comes into contact with it, they should just be dead.
I mean, it literally melted birds. Just go back and watch like part five. The birds were just flying in the sky and they just start melting and they fall down. Just imagine what it's going to do to a Viltrumite. All right, guys, that's it for the video. That's all we had. That's all we thought about. If you could think of any other stands, mention them in the comments below. We're about to go get some haircuts and grow out our mustaches, and we're gonna get ready for Invincible and Steel Ball Run.
Peace.
Peace.